Welcome to Caseback Watches. My name is Tim, and in this video I'd like to show you an iconic military watch in its enhanced form, the Type 21. Airain Type 21. I'm very happy that the watch is here because I think I reviewed 4 watches made by Airain and they were all fantastic. Really fantastic, well-made timepieces. Very close to the original because we're speaking here about revived vintage watch, as Airain is a revived vintage watch brand from France. And it was actually a producer of the Type 20 military watch and the Type 21. But the question is, of course, what's the Type 20? What's the Type 21? What's the difference between these watches? First, Type 20 is a category of watch created in the 50s for the French military. So basically, the French military issued some specs to various manufacturers for a new military chronograph, Flyback Chronograph. This was very important back then. And so manufacturers like Breguet, for example, produced these Type 20 chronographs, and amongst them also was Airain from France, as said. So our Type 20 is more a category of military chronograph, right? And then in the 60s, the military realized that they had a good watch, but they said basically we want that thing improved in an improved form. We still want the basic layout, the basic functionality. I mean, basic Flyback chronograph is fairly complicated, but this basic layout with its 2 subdials, all the specs, the black dial, we want to keep all this, but we want the watch a bit updated towards more robustness and reliability. They wanted a watch that is easy to service, something like that. And so they created then in the 60s the Type 21. And again manufactured by various companies, and amongst them Airain. And the Type 21 I'm going to review in a minute for you was built after an actual Type 20 by Airain, which they found at an auction. There was the example, there was the role model for the watch we have here. And now we can discuss the differences between the Type 20 and the Type 21. You will find an older review of the Type 20 on this channel, and the watch I'm going to show you in the lightbox in a minute is the Type 21. But here you see on this sheet here the differences, or on this picture I should say. There you see that we have pretty similar watches because the main functionality should be unaltered, right? They wanted to keep the basic elements of the watch, and here you have the same sizes of the numerals, the same dimensions. The hands look pretty equal, although I have the impression that on the Type 21 on the right the hands are a bit bigger. Or check the logo between left and right, there you have some changes, and also the rubies are gone now. The Type 21 has changed its position, and so we have some subtle differences. But the main difference you cannot see so well on this image is that the Type 21, so the new watch, has a more glossier dial. And the Type 20 is more puristic. There you have a matte dial. And so we can make a difference. Do we want a more handsome watch? Then you go a bit in direction 21 with a glossier dial. Or you want that pure military thing, then you go a bit in direction Type 20. But as said, the differences are subtle, and so it depends a bit on our taste, which variant we fancy here. But this is enough talk now. Now let's go into the lightbox. Let's check out that watch. And there we are with our watch, the Airain Type 21, and basic specifications as always first. So here we have a case diameter of 39 millimeters, and the bezel is a smidgen bigger, 39.5 millimeters. The length lug to lug here is 47.7 and the height 14.5, including the crystal. Bit misleading because the crystal is high domed. The case alone here is a smidgen under 11. Then we have a lug width here of 20 millimeters and a sapphire crystal, as mentioned, relatively high domed sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating on the inside. The watch is waterproof up to 50 meters and is powered by the AM2. This is a movement made by a, let's say, high-end factory by Sellita, owned by Sellita, with own names and own specs, and they are pretty high-end. So this movement here offers a power reserve of 63 hours, and it's adjusted in 5 positions, so we really can expect some accuracy here. And the price for this watch is 2,950 euros, so in US dollars you're a smidgen over 3,000, but then you can deduct 20% European VAT, but you have to add again your own local taxes, so take these 3,000 as a rough number. All right, let's begin here with the dial. Let's zoom in a smidgen more. Form follows function here. We have a very legible piece with a black dial for minimum reflections and a lot of white on it, very large numerals and very little branding, so to speak. So the Airain is very small, there's a little crown. I will move the hands all the way in a second. Type 21. And here you have a little Fab Swiss, which I think is a fabrique in Switzerland. I'm not a French speaker, so very sorry. So this is the dial. Legibility is king here, and I was pretty much blown away by the loom shot you see here. Absolutely impressive. And the layout here is very classy and historically accurate. 30-minute counter on position 9. Although I've read once there are some Type 20s out there with a 15-minute counter, which was connected to a runtime on an aircraft carrier, if I recall correctly. Then you have the seconds here on position 3. And now let's go over the functionality, over the main function, which is of course the chronograph, a flyback chronograph. This sounds complicated, but it is in fact very, very simple. You just start it with push a 1, and now it's running. And now you can reset the chronograph and restart it with one click. And this is the flyback mechanism. See, it hasn't stopped. It just runs again. And so you can create multiple runs with one click, which can be very handy during navigation and during flight maneuvering. But of course you can use it also as a normal chronograph like this. You can stop it with that button and then you can reset it with that thing. Feels pretty decent. Pretty substantial really. And substantial, speaking of substantial, the movement here is a hand-wound movement. This feels amazing, creamy, buttery, very nice sound, just nice. And then it's very straightforward, position 1, and with that you set the time. And that's really nice. Tight connection. You feel the precision. This is just beautiful. And the last element now is the bezel for more functionality. And this is a zero-click bezel. This means you don't have clicks. You don't have clicks. It's a free-floating bezel. And this works very nice because the concern always is that it's too loose, that it can change its position accidentally, but this cannot happen here because the connection is super precise and feels a bit oily, like an oiled piece of machinery. Very nice. And now let's explore the case. Pretty rustic. See, we have a piece of equipment here, drilled lug holes, very simple sides and lugs brushed. The lugs here are high polished on this side, but the other components are brushed. Here you have the case back with a bit of information on it. Airain, Type 21, Swiss made, then the reference number and the individual number of the watch. There's the crown without logo, pushes, pretty simple and functional. And the watch comes on this black leather strap. There you go, with a characteristic Airain clasp. I wasn't the biggest fan of that clasp, to be honest, because I remember it wasn't so comfortable, but I think they fixed something. The original made an indentation in your skin, but this time it's more comfortable. And there you go, 39 millimeters, 17 centimeter wrist. And you see the clasp now is okay. Yeah, it's comfortable. I think they've changed something there. And yeah, this is the decent look that watch brings on your wrist, really. Very, very tooly, but with a sort of a dark fascination, I really find. And so very nice, very nice. And the nice thing is also that you can pair this watch with everything you want, because this is a strap monster. Here you have a dark brown strap, Caseback number 1, nice. Or you can take something brighter, which gives a nice contrast, gives an amazing look, to be honest. And so yeah, very decent strap monster. Okay, welcome back. You can order that watch right now. It's not for pre-orders or something like that. It's ready there on their website, of the Airain website. There you can order your Type 21 now. But they told me that they produce this watch in rather small batches, so it might occur that the delivery time will be a bit longer than a couple of days. Then you were speaking about 2 weeks probably, but I think that shouldn't be an issue. All right, and now let me thank you very much for your attention as always, and until next time.